The story of this movie revolves around the breakdown of government and law, leading to a chaotic struggle for survival, trust issues, and the consequences of societal collapse. The movie begins by showing the entire world, and then it focuses on America, where the sun is rising. We see a family living in America, consisting of a father, his wife Amanda, and 2 children. The man is good-natured, while Amanda is often angry, doubting people, and ill-tempered. Both parents work. Their daughter is innocent and loves watching Seasons, while their son is a bit mischievous. One morning, Amanda's husband wakes up to find her in a very good mood. She expresses her desire to go on vacation, and she has already booked a house on an island. Her husband agrees, and they all get ready to leave. During the journey, they enjoy themselves and reach the grand house Amanda had booked. The children start bathing in the pool, while Amanda's husband handles the luggage. Amanda goes to the market to buy food and drinks, feeling happy about the purchases. While loading the car, Amanda notices another man stocking up on a lot of food and drink. It seems like he's preparing for the end of the world. Although Amanda finds it strange, she doesn't say anything and goes home. The family later goes to the beach, where they see a large ship far out at sea. Despite expecting the ship to change its course, it remains in the same place for 2 hours before slowly moving closer. As the ship approaches, Amanda's husband senses something is wrong and instructs everyone to run. There's chaos on the beach, and the ship, seemingly out of control, emerges from the sea and stops on the beach. The situation is peculiar, and the entire beach is evacuated due to a system malfunction, affecting not only this ship but many others. The family went straight home and discovered there was no internet or TV channels. They couldn't order food online, so they ate what was available. The children went to sleep, and Amanda and her husband were downstairs drinking when there was a sudden knock on their door. They were shocked to find Scott and his daughter outside. Amanda and her husband were surprised because it was unusual for strangers to come to their house. Scott explained that the house was his, and even though Amanda doubted him because they hadn't spoken on the phone, he asked if they could come inside. Amanda's husband invited them in, and Scott shared that the city had lost power and darkness had spread. He knew the family had come for vacation, so he didn't want them to leave. Scott offered to stay in the basement without causing any disturbance and even returned their $1,000. Amanda was hesitant, stating she couldn't allow strangers to stay. However, when Amanda and her husband discussed it privately, Amanda expressed her doubts about Scott's intentions. Despite Amanda's concerns, her husband believed they were in trouble and should help. He proposed talking to Scott one last time, and if there was a problem, they would ask them to leave. Upon further conversation, Scott seemed nice, and Amanda eventually agreed. Scott's daughter turned on the TV, revealing an emergency broadcast everywhere. It confirmed that the power was out. There was no internet, and TV channels weren't working. The family realized there was something wrong, and all the difficult situations were causing trouble. Scott, being a government officer, was skeptical about the situation, evident from the concern on his face. The next morning, Amanda's daughter expresses her desire to watch the next episode, but there is no internet. Amanda checks her phone, finding emergency news. When she shows it to her husband, it disappears. He explains that someone has hacked the whole system. Amanda is worried about the 2 strangers in their house. Her husband decides to go out to gather information. After he leaves, Scott and his daughter wake up. Amanda informs them about the emergency notice, shocking Scott. Amanda expresses concern about the situation getting out of control. Scott reassures her, saying he hopes everything will be fine soon. Later, Scott shares that similar circumstances happened years ago due to a virus created by 2 boys. He believes the current situation is not a big problem and there must be a solution. Scott is trying to relax the family and his daughter to prevent them from worrying. Observing the situation, it becomes clear that there is a significant problem. Scott's wife was about to travel by plane, causing worry for Scott and his daughter due to non-functioning systems. While Amanda's daughter is outside alone, hundreds of deer gather, behaving unusually for animals. Scott attempts to help at his neighbor's house, finding scattered luggage and an empty house. On the way, Amanda's husband faces GPS issues and encounters a nervous lady seeking help. Despite the woman's distress, Amanda's husband leaves without assisting her, feeling concerned himself. As he drove a little further, Amanda's husband heard a plane. Looking back, he saw the plane throwing something red. This scared him, and he quickly drove away. When the plane got closer, he realized the red-colored things were papers with Persian writing. Scott, aware that his friend had a satellite phone, went inside to get it, hoping it might work. Unaware of all this, Amanda's children went to the jungle and found a cabin. Inside, they didn't find anyone. Amanda's daughter shared the deer encounter with her brother, but he didn't believe her and instead told a scary story. Later, They left the cabin. Scott attempted to use the satellite phone, but it didn't work because the American satellite had changed its direction a few days ago. He then went to a beach, where he witnessed a destroyed plane and lifeless bodies scattered everywhere. It was a horrifying scene with no survivors. Observing another plane approaching, Scott realized it was heading for destruction. He ran to save himself, and the plane crashed on the beach, causing a large wave that hit Scott's house, leaving him soaked. Witnessing the situation, Scott got scared, realizing it was out of control. He didn't tell his daughter about the plane crash, but claimed he fell in the pool, asking her to get new clothes. Scott explained the situation to Amanda, revealing that the satellite phone had stopped working, which surprised him as it should have still functioned despite other systems shutting down. Despite Scott's explanation, Amanda was skeptical. He then recounted witnessing a plane being destroyed. Meanwhile, the children, who had been outside, heard a loud and strange sound, prompting them to cover their ears. Concerned for the children, Amanda went to the jungle to find them and brought them back home safely. However, Amanda's husband had not returned, causing worry. The son expressed discomfort after hearing the strange sound. After settling the children in their rooms, Amanda questioned Scott about the incident, convinced that he knew something. Scott described it as a sound wave weapon, causing distress among the people. Amanda, anxious about her husband, shared her sighting of a man in the market, preparing for such events by loading up on food and water. Amanda suspected that the man in the market knew about the impending events, leading him to prepare. Scott reassured them, stating that the man was his friend and well aware of the situation. Despite the fear, Amanda's husband arrived, sharing a red paper received from a plane, with Amanda's son recognizing a word indicating the downfall of America. Realizing an attack on America had occurred, the family, frightened, decided to escape to the city. However, Scott warned against it, emphasizing the safety of their current location. Ignoring his advice, they set out in their car, encountering a road filled with crashed cars due to a system malfunction. Another car approached, forcing Amanda to make a swift move, narrowly avoiding a collision. With no other option, they returned to Scott's house. Amanda's husband and Scott's daughter conversed, and Scott explained that his wealthy friend, aware of the situation, had prepared for it by building a secure house. To lighten the mood, they played music and danced. While checking, Amanda's husband and Scott's daughter heard a strange noise, discovering a flock of flamingos, an unusual occurrence. The painful voice returned, making them cover their ears and hold their heads. The strong voice even broke things in the house. After a while, the voice stopped, leaving everyone scared. Amanda's family slept together in fear. In the morning, a strange thing happened to Amanda's son. His teeth started falling one by one, causing great fear for Amanda and her husband. They couldn't understand what was happening, and the situation was overwhelming. They couldn't even seek help. Scott suggested seeking help from his friend, the man Amanda saw buying many things. They went to his house with Amanda's son and dad. When they arrived, the friend, holding a gun, told them to park the car at a distance for later discussion. Scott was surprised by his friend's changed behavior. They used to be friends, but now it seemed like a war had begun between humans, and survival had altered his friend. Scott asked his friend for help. Amanda's husband explained that something strange was happening to their son. He was vomiting, and his teeth were falling out. He pleaded for assistance. However, Scott's friend dismissed the issue, saying falling teeth wasn't a big deal and that it had happened to many people. He blamed the recurring loud voice for affecting his mind and refused to help. Scott, feeling scared, questioned his friend's changed behavior. His friend explained that everything had changed. A war had started, and he needed to prioritize saving his family. He told Scott to do the same and asked what he should do. This led to an argument escalating to the point where they pointed guns at each other. Amanda's husband intervened, begging Scott's friend for help and offering money, saying he would have helped in a similar situation. Scott's friend shared a grim outlook, saying that in a world without a lasting government and laws, money would lose its value. Despite this, he decided to help them, providing medicine for Amanda's son. He speculated that the situation might be orchestrated by Koreans, Chinese, Iranians, or some other enemy country due to the numerous enemies America had made over the years. After taking the medicine, Amanda's husband and Scott got into the car. Scott explained that he had already understood the unfolding events. Amanda's husband asked for clarification, and Scott elaborated that it seemed like an enemy country wanted to destroy America, creating a crisis to achieve this goal. He described a three-move strategy used in such situations. The first move involves breaking communication between the government and the people. Scott cited the loss of the internet and closed channels as evidence of this strategy, leaving people disconnected from their government. The second move entails secret attacks, with the painful and loud voices being a form of psychological warfare. Misinformation creates fear and distrust among people, making them doubt each other and spreading different stories. Scott explained that the atmosphere of fear and selfishness created by these tactics leads to people turning against each other for survival, as seen in their community. People start doubting each other without reason, turning into enemies in the process. Scott explains that if the first two moves are successful, the third move will naturally unfold. When Amanda's husband asks about the third move, Scott reveals that the world is in a state of war, as governments have collapsed and there is no law. This is evident in their community, where Amanda's daughter went missing for a prolonged period. Concerned, Amanda and Scott's daughter set out to find her and hear strange voices while at a jungle cabin. When Scott's daughter investigates, she discovers a group of deer. Amanda startles the deer, causing them to run away. Amanda then notices bombs exploding in the city, indicating a full-scale war. The absence of law leads to chaos, with people resorting to violence, looting, and wrongdoing. The scene shifts to Amanda's daughter, who is in the house Scott mentioned as his rich friend. It serves as a safety bunker, well equipped with food, power, functioning internet, DVDs, and CDs. Amanda's daughter watches her favorite season's last episode, which reveals that numerous countries had joined forces to attack America, aiming to wipe it out. Explaining the mysterious loud voice and the deer's behavior, Scott clarifies that these were part of secret attacks. Amanda's daughter realizes they have found a secure place to live in peace. At this, the movie ends.